many games y'all gonna win this fall?
To our next M, Mississippi State. Mississippi State over under win total at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. A 4.5. Heavy juice to the under here, over at plus 152. Lebby takes over a program that from, the tragic death of Mike Leach, Zach Arnett comes in, then they pull the plug on Zach Arnett. We're going to Jeff Lebby, who comes in with his own offensive profile and a roster that, I don't want to editorialize this. Tom, what are we doing with Mississippi State? Does this team have the pieces necessary to be able to compete in some of the most winnable games on the on the SEC schedule? Because clearly at 4.5, you're going to have to go win at least one conference game.
Yeah, like I'm going over because the total 3.5 seems a little too low. I could see them beating Eastern Kentucky, Arizona State, Toledo, UMass, whatever the hell that noise is in Danny's background. So like,
is that a fire alarm?
Okay.
All right, they're running on generator power. Danny completely destroyed the power grid in the hotel he's at by setting up for the show today. So Bud's overcoming disease and Danny's overcoming the electronic grid. And I think Mississippi State will overcome this win total just barely. Because this is honestly, when I was going through this, the SEC teams, I feel like this is the team I know the least about. Like I have the least confidence in any direction for this team because it's a new coaching staff. It is largely a very new roster. Like you look at all the guys they brought in the portal, and a lot of them are expected to be playing key roles. So the offensive line's got like 3 new dudes from the portal. The secondary's got like 3 new dudes from the portal who are expected to start. I think the front 7 is mostly returning guys, so there's some continuity there. But I don't know. Like this is a team I feel like could end up getting to a bowl game if things click and Blake Shapen clicks and the offense goes. But this is also a team that could have like a terrible year. So I'm going over. I'm thinking 4-8 is very much possible. I'm thinking even 5-7 and 6-6 is possible. But I also think 1-11 and 2-10 is possible. So I don't know. I have absolutely no confidence in this one.
Yeah, I'm going over because I really don't have an edge against most of the market here on this number. But FanDuel is the by far best price to bet over on this. I mean, you're getting plus 152 to the over in what is not quite a coin flip, but it's a weighted coin, just not that heavy. So Arizona State's got banged up a little bit in camp so far. It looks like, that they played Toledo, who lost a ton. And I mean, Jason Candle's basically the Mario of the MAC. So like, I don't really have a whole lot of faith in him going to Starkville and winning that one. I'm reading Florida's practice reports yesterday, and they got starting linemen being told to go run laps for false start and effort. So, that's maybe not all kumbaya, despite all the long forms that got written on that staff this offseason when they invited everybody in. I think like they could, in theory, beat Arkansas. If they stay really healthy, they could beat UMass. Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss, I doubt it. But to Danny's point, they just talked about what if guys kind of quit at the end if Ole Miss's season goes sideways. So I'm going to go ahead and take over. This got bet down pretty heavily a couple weeks ago. I didn't really take part in that, but I would not continue to bet this under.
4-0 in the non-con. I think we're all on the same page there. And then it's, can they get one more? Right? I mean, that's kind of the question I think we're asking. Chip, you don't think they get Arizona State? Is that the one? Which one scares you?
I'm not willing to give them Arizona State.
Really?
It's a toss-up. I mean, they might be dogs by the time the game's played.
I gave them that one. Then I looked and I was like, Blake Shapen, what's he bringing to the table? But I do think similar to what we saw when Heupel came to the SEC, like this offense, I think will be fun. Like we're kind of going back to what they like, not Mike Leach air raid specifically. Exactly. This is a different nuanced system, but it is a system designed to put up points. I think they're going to have some success offensively. Can they make it fun and get one of these games to pull off an upset where you can, get into a more of a shootout game? I'll give it to them. And then I love the fact that Bud put out the value out there. So I'll look at that. I don't love it, but it was kind of like, if I was leaning towards anything, and this kind of was my philosophy on Ole Miss, like the new look SEC, more strength in the conference, the tougher schedules. I think teams are going to gravitate. The low ones might get that extra win, and the high ones might get that extra loss. That's kind of was what I was thinking. It might be flawed.
No,
You know?
that's actually the smart approach, which is why I feel like an idiot when I do all my picks and I'm like, wow, I'm picking all the good teams to be good and the bad teams to be bad. I am slightly on the under here, and it's probably I'm not willing to give them Arizona State. Arkansas at home is another spot. Like if I see it happening, it is 4-0 in the non-con. It is 1-7 in conference play. I think that we could be looking at an 0-8 type situation, a really tough go of it in year one. You know, you've got players like, could I see UTEP's best wide receiver step into an air raid system and light it up with tons of catches and tons of yards and end up being dynamic? Without a doubt. But ultimately, I do think there is such a talent gap. I mean, the Florida one, let's put it to the side, but Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Missouri, and Ole Miss. The talent gap when you're relying on JUCOs and old CUSA stars to come in and win against those teams is significant. So I am like slightly on the under, definitely not rushing to bet it, but with knowing that Kenny Dillingham's trying to win that game too, you know, at home, that it's like they got an SEC team in town. There's not going to be a lot to celebrate necessarily for Arizona State, you know, picked near the bottom of the Big 12. That could be a challenge for the Bulldogs. So ever so slightly, I got this one at closer to 4-8. Did you have something, Bud?
No, I just this is a team I've had a hard time figuring out if they're truly better than they were last year. I think they are, but on talent, I'm not really sure meaningfully so.
Yeah.
So we'll see.